We have seen an escalation in the war in Ukraine, now war in Russia, and an escalation, this time drone attacks in Moscow in a business district over the weekend, multiple drone attacks. And instead of an outright denial, which in the past we'd seen by the Ukrainians saying, you know what, this is a false flag, this is the Russians trying to escalate a conflict. There were no injuries reported directly so far from these drone attacks again, it was kind of a financial district over a weekend. But there was a new comment by President Zelensky of Ukraine, which does concern escalation. I want to play this. Ric Grenell is joining us right now, our senior advisor for national security and foreign policy. I want to play this bite for you, and then we'll go to Rick. Let's listen to President Zelensky.
Ukraine is getting stronger. Gradually, the war is returning to the territory of Russia, to its symbolic centers and military bases, and this is an inevitable, natural, and absolutely fair process.
So, Rick, I want to go to you right away. Again, it's not trying to take sides. Some people try to say it's pro-Russia to somehow want this conflict to come to an end. But what I don't think most Americans want is an escalation where now, Moscow has come under attack, which could give a regime like Putin's the justification to escalate this conflict further.
Yeah, look, this is a red alert moment. We first need to be very clear that Putin has launched this war. I've been very clear that Democrats in the Senate and Joe Biden dropping the sanctions on Putin's pipeline signaled a big weakness. Remember that Putin has invaded Ukraine under Obama and under Biden, not under Trump. So we now have this crisis where Zelensky, who is receiving massive amounts of money from the American taxpayer, has come forward to say it is very fair to attack Moscow. We know that they've had drone attacks in Moscow, and now he's saying that it's fair game. And a military leader inside Ukraine was quoted by CNN as saying, "We're going to bring this war to the people in Moscow who think it's too far away." This is a clear escalation. When you attack Moscow like this, we need to be very clear that Putin, a madman, is going to do something crazy to protect Moscow. I am being very clear about this. This could be a warning for a nuclear attack. And where is the Biden administration? Where's the responsibility of the United States? We have sat on the sidelines as this war has escalated. Billions of dollars in American taxpayer money has gone to further this war. There is no peace agreement. Where is the Secretary of State? Where is the responsible parties in the White House? Why isn't Joe Biden talking about a peace plan to stop this escalation? This is a red alert, and I'm outraged that nothing is being done by this White House.
You know, Rick, we talked about this last week when we were in the broadcast. I'm concerned that there just appears to be no end in sight here. I mean, you've got this, it's like the 1,000-year wars. I mean, this is going to just continue. I think what former President Trump said when he was on that CNN town hall, and he said, I'd end it? I'd end it because I don't want to see any more people getting killed. At this point, I mean, I don't think there's a winner in this. It's not a question of winners and losers. It's now we got to bring an end to it. But you're right. You're a diplomat. The diplomacy, which is, by the way, diplomacy is war. Warfare can include diplomacy. Famous as Benjamin Disraeli quote. But you've got to actually engage in the diplomacy, and they're not doing it.
Look, I'm a firm believer that good diplomacy is very tough, hard to swallow. It is diplomats who are not trying to, sip wine and eat nice meals, but you go in and you wrestle through an agreement that is not liked by either side, but pushes forward compromise and solutions. And it's very tough to do tough diplomacy. But we need to have diplomats who are willing to go into harm's way, go into the war zone, and figure out how to do peace plans. This is outrageous. There is no peace plan. There's no options that the White House is considering because Anthony Blinken is literally going around and bowing to China.
Rick, I wanted to ask you this too, because you brought up, you said like red alert moment. And yet I kind of feel like in our media now, we've gotten used to this conflict. It's kind of become in some sense, Zelensky showing up in, at celebrity-filled events, and it's kind of, it's people have got signs in their yard, and that's wonderful. And again, no one supports what Russia started here, but this idea that we cannot shrug this one off the shoulders, because this is how the war ends up coming to the United States. Like you said, they take some kind of crazy action by a madman dictator, and suddenly the U.S. is directly gets engaged in this conflict.
I couldn't understand over the weekend when we saw the drone attacks inside Moscow why our media and why our political class in Washington, D.C. wasn't reacting more. They've got the Ukrainian flags everywhere. It's a symbol of, whether or not you're pro-communist or pro-Putin. People make fun of anyone who's trying to end this war. And I have to say, this is a true red alert moment for Americans, because when you start attacking inside Moscow to bring people to a conflict because you think they're too far away, what is next? This is an escalation. It is a red alert for us, and somebody of a mature nature, somebody who knows how to do diplomacy, needs to get into the White House and shake Joe Biden and say, we need to have a de-escalation and a peace plan, and America has a responsibility to put one forward.
I know you're still in Albania. These NATO allies, what is the sense for them? This is right on their back door. I know there's a lot of reliance on the United States to try and take a lead, but we even have reports of the Wagner Group now kind of reassembling and possibly trying to go into Poland, another NATO member. It's like they're trying to trigger the Article 5 response to escalate this conflict, or to see if we're willing to abide by Article 5.
No, you're exactly right, Jordan. You hit it right on the head. They are inching us closer to a conflict with a NATO ally like Poland, constantly talking about border violence or pushing. Someone is going to just move into Poland and drag them in across the border just to be able to get a NATO response. This is what the escalation is doing. And I'll just say, you're right, I'm in Albania right now, which is a NATO ally. It's in the Balkans. And every leader in the Balkans is very nervous about getting dragged into this Ukrainian war. You look at what's happening inside Kosovo, and that is escalating. We've got more NATO troops going into Kosovo. This is a tinderbox if we don't start pushing forward ideas. And the White House's plan for the Balkans is to let Brussels lead, let the EU lead. And it's a disaster because it's analysis paralysis.
Rick, as always, we appreciate all of your insight. We thank you for joining us on the show.